Hey guys, and welcome back to another video with me, Eagle Eye. Another video which is just really out the blue. I thought I'd do a video on how to construct one of these. Now, if anyone knows what this is, please tell me, because it doesn't come with a name on it. All I know is it's like the Buster blade sort of sword which Cloud has in, what is it, Final Fantasy Advent Children, so I think it's 7 Part 2 or something. I don't know, I didn't actually play the game. So it's the one which is basically in 5 pieces. And this set, which I got at Comic-Con, or Comic-Con, if I should pronounce it properly, caught my attention, and it actually I think is quite an interesting sort of set. But you can combine all of these to make that ginormous whapping big sword in the actual anime. So I'm going to do that now, because I was told when I first bought this that if I got confused there was a video on YouTube on how to construct this, but I couldn't find it. So I'm going to make one myself since I figured it out myself. So yeah, pretty much I'm going to keep part of the pieces in the box just to remind me where all of them are. Now, you should have all the pieces, so you should have all the blade pieces including the middle, and if you pick this up there's like a little bag underneath. Now here you should have, I don't know the exact number because I've got too many little screws in this, but I'm going to put that under there just for now. Yeah, so pretty much I found I had too many screws in this, and I think that's probably just to make sure I had the right amount, I don't know. But one of the most important things is having this little Allen key. So yeah, don't want to lose that. Also, this doesn't come with it, but I found you'll need a very small Phillips head screwdriver. Now, I didn't pay attention to what size it was last time, but I believe it's something along the lines of a number 0, as it says on my little bit here. It's if I can get to focus without glaring. Yeah, you see it's right there. So put that down there, and I'll explain why I need that in a second. So there. Now also another way of doing this was I found if you did the pieces in reverse, so not bolting them directly onto here but bolting them to each other then onto this per side, was a bit better. So here's the reason why you need the Phillips, because there's that'll focus. There's little screws there, and they have to be tightened and loosened, I found, while you're adjusting the handle. You have to basically tighten and loosen the little bolts which make this move. As you can see, I'm just winding it backwards and forwards and it's nearly come off. So you have to tighten them up a bit. Now I found the best way to do this is to turn it until it resists you, and that is the best point to stop tightening the screw. And if you ever think you've gone a little wrong, just turn the screw back until it loosens up, then tighten it until it resists you again. And you'll probably need to do this multiple times through the construction. Oh yeah, and as you turn them, if you turn them a certain way, they tighten themselves. So again, loosening them, same thing in reverse. There we go. Now I am probably going to fast forward through most of the construction, so I'll avoid talking through that bit, so that's why I'm doing most of the dialogue at this point, because I don't want this video to be like half an hour long of me just building this. So pretty much it starts off with your first pieces, so that one and that one go on top of each other. Oh no, sorry. Wrong way round. It's loosened up again. Right, sorry. This piece should be saying on this. It'll become clearer as we put it together, but let's start off with one of the simplest pieces, which was, if I've got the holes on the right side, yeah, this side. You can start off here. It does say on the instructions on the box that you start off with this one, bolting it to the front, but it doesn't matter because this doesn't have anything else connecting to it. So now here comes the bit where I have to remember which size screw goes into what, because you don't quite have enough for these larger screws. But the best way to try is to try and measure it against the blade. So let's see. Yeah, I think that'll be the right size for that. Now these do have a little Allen key symbol, hence why they use this to tighten them up, but they don't have a head, so you kind of have to really, don't know if you can see that, the little groove in, because the other side you can see doesn't have anything on it at all. And it doesn't matter which way in you screw it, whichever way seems to work the best is fine, because the Allen key can just be adjusted through the hole on the other side of the blade. So I'm just going to try and put it in this way. So yeah, just slide it into the bottom hole on this specific sword, trying not to cross thread it. I'll try and show you in more detail once I've got it. Okay, if you find it isn't working, just flip the screw back round the other way and see if that works better. And also try the other side of the sword. If the one side doesn't work, just try the other one. Because when they give you the box, one side of the main piece should be going on one side of the blade and the other side goes the other. So the left side of the box beside this sword in the case should be all the pieces for one side of the blade. If it's left for left, I don't know, but depends which way you hold the blade, I guess. So I've got this in now, so I'm just going to screw it down till it's just peeking out, just out from the blade. So let's see if you can see that, and try and get it quite straight, because last thing you want is to actually shear these because you've cross-threaded them. So that's probably the most fiddly piece. Now I've got this in now, so try and find which side of the blade this sticks to. Oops. Lost one of the screws. I'm going to have to retrieve that. There we are. Don't want to lose those. Or if you've noticed the cat eating them. So she just wandered in when I started recording, and I haven't thrown her out. So that's the wrong way. Okay, if you find you've screwed the bolt in the wrong way, like I have there, just keep threading it through until it comes out the other side. So, of course, I don't have to use the little. I've forgotten what this thing's called now. Allen key. You could use your fingers, but I'm using the Allen key for speed here. Okay, so that's that. Let's try and slide back in. Okay, now I want to hold the pieces together and look underneath, like through this bit, to try and find if the screw's in the right place or not. So now you want to really hold these blades quite tight together, because cross-threading is very easy with this. Last thing you want is to try and unscrew everything because one thread has just gone a little too much to one side or the other. Also, another way I've found, which sometimes works, is if you can get the Allen key through the hole on the main blade, which you're trying to attach it to, that sometimes helps you to line everything up. So sometimes if you have to put the screw in the wrong way, or as you might think it may be the wrong way, it actually helps out in the long run. So, let's get that in. There we are. Oh well. That in. Yeah, I'll try and keep it down here so you can see. It's a lot more challenging to do this when you can't see what you're doing. Another thing you'll want to try and do is, I know there's quite a lot to think about just by getting the first blade on, but because these don't have a head, and sometimes you don't know which way you're tightening it, because left loose, right tight doesn't always work when you're trying to put these on backwards. So try and keep an eye on actually which way the thread's actually going as you turn. And you might find that's a better indicator than going back to some old nursery rhyme, which should work, but only really works in the cases where all your bolts are going one way in rather than having the option of going two ways in. Now this will resist you a little bit, but that's kind of good, because I believe that means that you've actually got the two pieces to really mesh together. Okay, there's the first blade kind of fixed in. Of course, you need to get the other pieces to finish the entire blade, because at the moment it's just hanging off a bit. So you have to put another screw in. And of course, the small ones are better for this, because actually no, this one will need a long one, because you have to think about it this way. If you're going to put both sides on the other side you're going to have these two blades sticking to the opposite end. So I nearly ran into one of my own mistakes back then. So it should be easier now, because you can see through the holes. I don't know if you can see the light through them, but I'm trying to. Don't know if you can see through them, but yeah. Again, doesn't really matter which way you thread the screw. as long as you get the way all going nicely. Okay, sometimes you can't get it to go in one way either end of the screw, so again just go for the other end of the blade and see if it works better. If you don't drop the screw. There we go, and just really pinch the blade together as you go through. But sometimes you'll find it resisting quite powerfully, and usually that's because the blade on the other end is slightly at an angle and it's cross-threading again. So you want to try and fix that by getting your thumb in a place where you can rock the blade slightly to just change the angle of the screw's entry. Of course, when sometimes it gets a little too stiff, but you want to just check. You can always put the Allen key in just to see if it's just because your fingers can't grab it. There we go, that side of the blade's in, and I'll also bring this bolt through the other end because it's not going to be needed with all that overhang on the wrong side. You'll find you'll drop the Allen key an awful lot when doing this because it doesn't grip the inside of anything. There's no little lock inside these screws for the Allen key to sit in, so you just have to keep going. Okay, there we go. Let's flush one side with the overhangs on the other. So, there we are. Now here comes the interesting bit. Trying to bolt these two together and then bolt it onto this as well. So, I found just simply start by bolting these together like this. Now they will be more slippery than this before. Correction. I realise I've made a mistake in the instructions. I've put this blade here, the flip handle one notch too high on the blade. So now I'm going to have to remove that and move it down. Luckily, at this stage, making some corrections like that is not too difficult because the blades down here are about the same length because their handles go up against the hand guard. So quite easy to keep them in line, but the one you lay on top, you kind of sometimes really have to look at the instructions to notice if you make a mistake like that. Just want to keep that blade on, so make sure it's still in. I was talking about the blade which is mounted on to the main piece. It's the all-bladed sword. And we want to remove just enough to get that out. So there we go. Now again, flip the handle round, make sure it's nice and straight at the back. Any necessary tightening to hold it in position, but don't overdo it, because trying to loosen these are much more difficult than tightening them. So now we have to put it lower down. So here we are. Just had to have a quick glance to the instructions to make sure I was putting everything in the right place. Hope you don't mind. Because the reason why I'm making this build in the first place is because it is a complex puzzle. And I really will say, actually, this is more like a puzzle blade than something you can build together, because it is not straightforward. But this does mean I've put a long screw at the top here when it should be lower down, because obviously this blade's moved down a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out, replace it with a smaller screw. And sometimes you can say this is actually part of the fun, finding that you made a mistake, going back and doing it again. Because nothing's fun if it's not a challenge. Also, another feature when you first do this is if you find you have actually put one of the bolts in the wrong way and sheared it slightly, there will be a tiny bit of sharp metal coming out the other side. So if that happens, try and remove that as quickly as possible. It's not too dangerous if you notice and get rid of it, because, well, obviously it's no longer there, but if that does happen, you might find getting cuts and like metal splinters. I'm not sure exactly what it's called. It might be called shrapnel, but I always thought that was bigger stuff. And again, that is a really big health risk. Oh, whoops, and I'm pushing the blade out because I'm not holding it properly, as you can see there. If I tilt it, yeah, you see that'll happen if you don't clamp the blades together. Because I'm talking, I didn't realise it was happening. And also, if you start doing that and you worry about the blade bending, don't worry, it seems to be quite springy metal, or steel, they've used. So you can find that it'll bend straight back without too much effort. I just thought the best way to try and keep all your screws together is to actually put them on top of the back so they can't roll off the table. I should have given you that tip earlier. Not gave them. What the hell? I can't talk today. Gosh, I usually can't, but today's getting even worse. Now, another warning, this will probably give you wrist and thumb cramp, because you're holding on to these heavy things like right at the end of the weight, so it's putting a lot on your tendons and thumb muscles. So don't just get your hands locked up because you're following what I'm doing. I am just keep going because I know I can hold this for quite a while. One of the good things about doing gaming an awful lot, you'll find your hands and your thumb muscles become immensely powerful. I can still remember in martial arts training, I was one of the only students which normal hand grip breaking moves from self-defense wouldn't work because my grip was too tight. Right, again, I have to switch the blade around because it's not working one side. There we go, it's nice and smooth now. So just make sure it's lined up, clamp it together. Now at this point you might find that you've completed one side and this handle is just flopping around. Now to correct this, you do have to tighten it a bit more than I would say is necessary for the normal fixture. So when you take this apart, remember to loosen this. Otherwise you'll find the handle will be stuck. So camera over here please. Thank you. Right, so pretty much to get this, tighten it until it feels quite firm, and then just a tiny bit more. If you can still move it, just go a little bit tighter till it is not exactly unmovable, but it is stiff. It's a tiny bit too much, so just take it off a little bit. Right, there we go. It sort of feels like it's got a little pin now. So now it won't wiggle out. So yeah, final screw. Yeah, there's one more. Just to put in the very top of the meat cleaver blade, the longer one, in this setup now. Just wind it through and then you've got one side done. Now I am going to go through the other side because it's a little different now because you've got one whole side completed and there's all these screws sticking out the other side, so it does get a tiny bit complex when it's all done. But yeah, pretty much there's all the screws one side, but that's what it would look like. Oh, it's loosened up again. Hang on. There you go. And that's what it would look like after you've finished. Yeah, now I think that actually looks pretty cool. But, of course, everyone has their own opinion. I don't know if most people prefer Cloud's first big ass sword. But I definitely prefer this one. So, there you are. Now, I just thought I might put the other half in a separate video for people who actually want to see it actually, because this is going on for quite a long time, although I will probably be able to shorten this a bit because I'll fast forward through the bits where I wasn't talking or giving information, and I'll probably edit the beginning if you're seeing this because there was quite a few mistakes, so I'll see if I can do anything about that. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Like, favorite, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you in the next one. So, bye!